Today's guest conversation is with one of the most recognizable baseball figures on social media, at Coach Ray All Day himself, Mr. Ray Navarrete. Here's episode 73 of the Baseball Forward podcast. Coach Ray All Day, welcome to the Baseball Forward podcast, my friend. How are you today?
Wow, man, I'm doing great. I'm doing even better now that I'm on the show. Super excited. I've been looking forward to this ever since you reached out. So, excited, grateful, and I really do appreciate you having me on. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, man. And I'll lead off with this. The impact that you are making with baseball players, youth baseball players, the younger baseball players, all of them, man. I mean, I came across your stuff because of the videos and all the content you have out there, and it's so good. It's so good. And if we have any reception issues, don't worry about it. We'll cut it all up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's the content is so good, Ray. Like as a coach. So I coach my 11 and my 10-year-old, and I'm a former baseball player, blah, blah, blah. But you go and you want different voices and you want different ideas and I find myself leaning on your stuff.
Well, first of all, thank you. It means a lot. I do appreciate that a lot. And I think as this whole Trail All Day, I guess, idea, it really accidentally started. But as it's building up over these last few years, I've come to recognize that. And it's part of the reason why I feel now obligated in a very good way to continue to post as much as I'm posting, because I'm sure, as you know, creating content isn't easy and sticking to a schedule and being consistent is not easy. But I do feel an obligation now in a good way, because I have met so many people that are in the game that are either former players like ourselves, they play pro ball or college ball or high school ball, or just, the good old-fashioned dad who just loves their kids and they love baseball, but maybe they don't have the experience that you or I had playing. So I say to myself, listen, if I can continue to post some videos and help all of those people in the baseball community, why not? So I'm doing, and that's why every day I try to post 1 or 2 videos.
Man, I love it. And I will say it, that social media stuff is a hustle. And I tip my cap. I tip my cap. So I'm curious, man, you got quite the background, in baseball. I'm curious, like, how we got to this point, of where we're at right now. And just kind of tell me a little bit about, tell me more about at Coach Ray All Day and kind of what you're all about and what it's all about.
Yeah, so I think, and I appreciate the question. I think people are going to be surprised with this answer. The entire whole Coach Ray All Day thing, whatever's happening, and I'm super grateful for it, is 100% accident. The reason why I say it's an accident is because, of course, listen, I've given the game of baseball pretty much my entire life, and I would not change a thing. I grew up like every other kid in our country wanting to play in the major leagues, and I told myself I was going to be a professional baseball player and one day have a baseball and get paid and play in stadiums. And fortunately for me, I checked off almost all those boxes. I was able to do all those things except get called up for one regular season Major League Baseball game. But I played professional baseball for 14 years, very grateful for it. And when baseball was over, I guess I have like an entrepreneurial spirit. I've always been interested in business, and I started my own business. I started my own clothing brand, and that's a whole nother story for another day. And we built it up, and I had a lot of great friends in the minor leagues and the major leagues wearing the clothes, and it was an incredible story. I'm sure some people out there listening are aware of it. And the moment I retired from pro ball, I started coaching youth baseball right away. I was giving private lessons. I was giving group training. I was coaching travel baseball teams. I really enjoyed it. It was a passion of mine. The only reason why no one knew who I was because the only people that knew of me, Coach Ray, were my players in my lessons groups or teams. I didn't share any content. I didn't tell anybody I was doing it because I was so focused on some of my other interests outside of baseball. And like so many of us, when COVID happened, it changed the way a lot of us had to navigate our lives. And for whatever reason, that COVID period allowed me to start doing some more things on my own, where I wasn't in the facility that I was at, or I wasn't working with the same people. I was doing my own things. And I started to pick up on that there are some people out there that actually may be interested in Coach Ray, just me, not necessarily, at a
Wow.
specific place. And one of my players convinced me, hey, Coach Ray, why don't you record yourself
Dang, man.
teaching us this lesson? And one video, I never thought I would do it. I posted one video, and here we are 3.5, 4 years later, and more people know me as Coach Ray all day than they did when I was a professional baseball player.
That is unbelievable to me. And like, what
Yeah.
an inspiration, because that tells me you were encouraged by your players. They knew
Yeah.
what a quality coach you were. And I want to tip my cap to the players that encourage you to do that, because man, good coaches are hard to find. And let's not kid ourselves. Like the ones that are positive, that have an optimistic outlook, that want the best for kids. And it's not just about baseball. And I can just feel, I can sense that energy through the screen, the light that you have inside of you. And I can just tell it's a genuine love for the game and probably the kids. So the kids that got you going in this stuff, I mean, do you say thank you to them? I mean, how'd that go?
Yeah, what's funny is here we are, almost 4 years later, in that group that I did have, very, very fortunate to coach that team, and talented players. A few of them are off to D1 colleges now. They've had
Awesome.
tremendous high school careers. I've still maintained relationships with a lot of their parents, and I always mention that group, and say, listen, if it wasn't for them, if they didn't push me to keep recording a few videos in that early stage after the first video, I probably would have stopped. And I'll always be grateful for that group. This whole experience, the Coach Ray experience, it's been pretty awesome. It's extremely flattering. I learned a lot of valuable lessons, like even as an adult. Like, listen, you don't have to be a superstar Major League Baseball player. You don't have to be a celebrity. You don't have to be the wealthiest person in the world to make a positive impact. We all have the ability to do so, and even more so if you have the courage to maybe share some content on social media. So I've kind of made a decision to share content of the game that I've given my life to and that I love with all my heart. And if I can't play the game anymore, I'm going to coach it, and I want to share my experiences. And so far, I'm just really grateful for everyone who's watching my videos. The reception has been pretty much positive. I, like everybody, have criticism, and I have people that critique me and people that say I'm wrong. But that's the name of the game. I mean, that's what makes this all beautiful.
That's right. You know what? To all the people that are naysayers of Coach Ray all day, talk to me about it, man. That's stupid. Hey, and you know
Yeah.
what? Hey,
Yeah.
like anybody that has anything negative to say about someone that's bringing this much light and energy to the game, shame on you. And I'm speaking to you, Ross Hawley, talking with Coach Ray all day on the Baseball Forward podcast, episode 73 today. Man, you're from New Jersey. I saw
Yes, sir.
Monmouth. I said that right. I know
Monmouth
Monmouth,
County. Monmouth
Monmouth,
County,
New
New Jersey.
Jersey.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And you played at Seton Hall. And so
Yes.
I'm curious. I'm curious as you were growing up as a player, because I grew up
Yeah.
in Colorado, and I know there was always like a Southern, West Coast, Southeast bias. Did you feel that bias being in New Jersey, where you're like, oh, I hate playing those teams from Texas? Because I'm in DFW now, and I coach some of these kids. I'm like, dang, they're different down here. But did you feel
Yeah.
that being in New Jersey?
I don't know. I definitely felt the difference. I don't know if it was necessarily a bias. I think that's what makes makes our country great, especially sports. The different regions of our country, has different personalities, and that kind of resonates with the kids out there, right? So, I'm a proud New Jersey guy, through and through. I was born here, raised here. I'm never leaving Jersey.
Wow.
I feel like us Northeast kids. One thing that we're definitely proud of is we take a lot of pride in being tough, because unfortunately for us, the weather's tough out here sometimes. The most beautiful of summers and could be the harshest of winters. And when baseball season starts, there literally could be snow on the ground the night before opening night. So we do have some obstacles and challenges that some of the other parts of the country doesn't have in regards to weather. So I would say that most Northeast kids have that chip on the shoulder, like, hey, listen, I've been working just as hard as you have, but I've had to do it inside. So, I have that chip. Let's go. Let's go out there and compete. But it was always a great competition. When I got to pro ball, you make so many great friendships and relationships with players from all over the country, and everyone has pride of where they're from, and they should. And I'm a Jersey boy, and I'm proud to be from Jersey. I'll be here forever.
I'm going to go ahead and say I'm shooting from the hip, but I believe Mr. Trout is from New Jersey as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And yeah, he is. And of course, that's a big in the travel baseball space, which is where I am. I'm in that space quite a bit now.
Yep.
He's a big deal, of course, one of the greatest players in the history of our game, and he's from Jersey. So of course, we like to take a lot of pride in that. He's an example of a lot of great talent from the Northeast. Me, sometimes I do feel, not a bias, but I do say that there's a lot of talent sometimes that's overlooked out here, just because we're not outside on the field as early as some of the other parts. But at the same time, as a coach, I always tell my players, if you're good enough and you work hard enough and you're talented enough, they'll find you. You don't always have to go all over the place traveling to get a scout to notice you. If you're good enough, they'll find you.
Amen. Talking with Coach Ray all day, Ray Navarrete, on the Baseball Forward podcast, episode 73. So I'm interested in like your brand, because I'm assuming that the accountability that comes along with being Coach Ray all day, there's that's like built-in accountability. You have to be consistent with your brand, and I get it doesn't have to be perfect, but as you've created this and you've gone, like, what are some things that you focus on that you kind of, because like if I was saying a baseball team, hey, we are hard 90s, we're first to third, we're backdoor picks, whatever. There's identity. So at Coach Ray all day, what's the brand? What's your identity as a baseball coach?
Yeah, man. Wow. That's actually a very great question, and probably super important for myself, for anyone in business to have to answer. I think from the hip, just to answer it, I take a lot of pride in making sure that everything that I create or that I post is positive, it's energetic, it's encouraging, but it's also very honest. I think one of the challenges that I've had recently through, this year, as my travel organization that I have with one of my good friends and former pro baseball players starts to grow, is a lot of people see my videos from afar, and they're like, "Well, look at this guy. He's always smiling. He's jumping around. He might act younger than his age. This guy's awesome." And then if you play for me, I'm still the same way. But when it's time to have a real conversation, I am not a coach who, I don't yell. I won't throw the water cooler. I'm not dropping F-bombs left and right. And I'm not judging any of those type of coaches, because I played for some of them, and I actually have had good relationship with coaches like that. That's just not me. My style is, I'm also very honest. And the problem with honesty is, instead of using a curse word, I'll use an honest word. And sometimes that hits more. And for some players that are very serious about the game, that love it, and they want to attempt to play for a long time, they embrace it. But for the kids or for the families that say they're ready, but they're really not ready for it, sometimes hearing an honest word or an honest explanation is not popular. So for the first time ever, I'm learning. A lot of people meet me and they're like, "Yo, Coach Ray all day, man, this guy's super popular. I love this guy." And then the very first time I'm honest with them, it's maybe not received as well. But one thing I told my players last week, we just started fall ball. I said, "Listen, I absolutely love being liked. I do. Anyone who says that they don't like being liked, I think, is probably lying. It feels good. It's flattering. It's nice when the boys are excited, their parents are excited to see you. But my responsibility is not to be popular anymore. My responsibility is to be as a productive coach as I can. So if you look at me and say, 'Coach Ray, I want to make my varsity baseball team,' or 'Coach Ray, I want to earn a college scholarship,' my responsibility is to be a productive coach, not a popular coach. So I'd rather have some of my serious players maybe be more frustrated or angry at me, or they don't want to deal with me today. And then 5, 10, 15 years later, when they're grown men like us and maybe have their own families or businesses, when they look back on their careers, that's when they say, 'You know what? I did love Coach Ray.' I'd rather them say that down the road than today, because honesty is going to get them there. And unfortunately, sometimes honesty isn't well received.
Wow, that's the brand right there. And you know what? It's clear. Yeah. Like, it's clear to me. That explanation was awesome, because that's my perception of you uh, 15 minutes into having our conversation. So well
Yes.
done. I you talked about productive coaching, okay? And so there's a lot of young coaches out there. Man, I see it. Hey, maybe I'm one of them, right? But
Mhm.
uh, they want to be productive. They want to help the right way, and maybe they don't have the baseball background. So if you were talking to the coaches out there that are well-meaning, that maybe don't have the backgrounds, that are just doing the best they can by
Yeah.
the kids and the families, like, what does productive coaching mean to you, and what's your advice to them in coaching kids?
Yeah. Well, I tell coaches this all the time because you're spot on. And there's so many. That's why the game is amazing. There's so many coaches or people out there that want to coach. The issue is just
Mm,
because, and I'm grateful for them. Like, I'll give you an example. I'm a proud father too, right? So this is not a shot at dads, because maybe this is going to be me. If my daughter finds the first sport I didn't play, I'm probably going to be the random dad who has no clue what's going on. So I appreciate the dad that wakes up early, hustles, is helping get his family ready for the day, goes to work, battles through a tough day of work, battles through traffic to get home, and then he's volunteering to coach his son or
mm,
daughter's baseball or softball team.
yes.
That guy's a hero to me. The problem is he may not know the game like you and I. So now these young players, they're being taught either the wrong way or they're not being taught at all, which is an issue. So the
Mm,
first thing I say to any coach that just wants to get better is, you want to be like your player. When you tell your player, be a spud and soak it all in, be coachable, well, if you're a coach, you have to be coachable. So if there are
yeah.
coaches out there right now that are in your community, somebody that you're watching on video, maybe a coach like myself or the other awesome coaches on social media, watch, listen, learn, lean on them.
Mm,
It's okay. I tell myself that all the time in business and also in baseball. Like right now, as this experience is growing for me, I'm trying my best to reach out to former teammates and college coaches I had and guys that are now in the major leagues or minor leagues that I used to
yeah.
play with that are now coaching. I need to go spend time with them. I need to sit down with them. I need to do drills with them because I need to learn how to become a better coach. So my first tip to any coach out there, whether you think you're advanced or you're just starting, be coachable. Listen, learn, and always show up with a ton of enthusiasm and a ton of energy, because the kids feed off of that. You know, our last thing I my last rant about this is this: every single coach has an obligation to first not teach the kid to get better at the game. We have an obligation to make them fall in love more with the game, because
Mm,
if they fall in love with the game more, they are willing to listen more, work more, commit more. Once they love something, they're going to stick it out. They're going to stick it out. But if they have a coach or a bad experience that makes them not love the game, they're going to leave. And that's what all of us coaches agree on. We don't want kids leaving the game. We want kids staying in the game and playing for a long time.
oh, Coach Ray, all day, you're firing me up, man. Like, that is beautiful, because hey, you know what? I'm going to be vulnerable right now and tell you, when I was a young coach, I am 45 now. When I was a young coach, I was 26, 27, and I was just getting into coaching. And I had,
Yeah.
I'll sum it up, but I had a dad say, "You ruined baseball for my son." And I get it. It was a little bit
Oh,
extreme,
yeah.
but there was some
Yeah.
truth in how maybe I handled the young man. And I made it more about results than effort and love. And man, I promise you, because I was coached by so many guys that like positive, love the game. And I realized as I critique myself, I was like, that's not me. I don't, what you just said. I want
Yeah.
every kid that I come in contact with on a baseball field to love the game more. And that, what a perfect way of saying it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is I want to go to the knowledge thing, because something that I hear a lot from college coaches now is Ross, the when we get players in now, they're not as their baseball IQ is getting lower and lower by the year.
Yeah.
So for the players
Yes.
out there, you said love, and I think they kind of correlate. So I want your take on, how do we increase the IQ of the youth and the younger players today?
Mhm. Yeah, another great question. I couldn't agree with you more. I just want to go back to something you said about your experience as a coach. First of all, I say this all the time. I said it yesterday to our group. no coach, no organization is perfect. That's number one.
Yes.
So sometimes us as coaches, we have to give ourselves a little bit of grace too. Listen, believe it or not, as smiley or happy as I am, and it's not a show. This is really who I am. Listen, I've had a bunch of tough moments since the experience even started a few years ago, and there are times that we could handle ourselves a little bit better, or we could have handled the situation a little bit more. The one thing that I learned is there's always going to be a player or parent that really does want to put the blame game on the coach or point the finger. And I think us as coaches, we have to handle it the same way that we teach our players. When the game is really hammering you down, when it's hurting, when it's keeping you down and you're going through a tough time, we tell our players, chin up, chest out, stay positive. Sometimes as coaches, we forget that. I forget that. So when we're going through a tough time, we just have to remember there's always going to be criticism, there's going to be a critique, there's always going to be someone that wants to blame you and not take responsibility. And it's in our best interest to remain positive and encouraging and just keep moving forward. In regards to the baseball IQ question, I could not agree with you more and all the other people that you've talked to that have expressed their concern about the game. In my opinion, and it's my opinion, doesn't mean that I'm right. I do believe that the game has gotten worse in that regard with young players. And I don't just mean little league players. I mean players that are going through high school and college and off the pro ball. The baseball IQ has dramatically dropped. I think part of the reason is because for whatever reason in the last 5, 10, 15 years, there has been more focus on designing and developing showcase players and not baseball players. So what
Yes,
we're
sir.
doing is we're building these great athletes, and trust me, I acknowledge these young athletes, they do work hard and they're out there and they're chasing a goal. In my opinion, most times it's the wrong goal. They're chasing exit velocity and velo off the mound and spin rate and how fast was my 60-yard dash and how much can I squat and how much can I bench. All of those stats and metrics I just mentioned are important. But unfortunately, when you play a baseball game, none of them are. If you don't know how to run the bases, if you don't know how to lay off of a changeup, if you don't know how to hit a cutoff man, if you don't know how to pick up signs from your coach, how are you going to perform for the future college coach that you're trying to earn that scholarship? So the baseball IQ has dropped. My answer to that is kids have to spend more time watching the game of baseball, watching the game. Go home, watch the Mets or the Yankees or the Dodgers, whoever you love. Watch the game with mom or dad or your friends. Ask yourself why this play happened. Ask yourself why this guy is striking out so much. I think there's a disconnect now. Kids are being built for showcases. They're not being built for the game.
And what a bummer, because the game that you and I played, I feel we're all old now. I'm like, oh, that's a lost generation. But I miss that game. I really do miss that game. When I watch baseball all the time, but I miss that stuff. And I think it's imperative that us coaches, whatever level that is, we hold these kids, we hold the players to a standard. And I think the standard for most baseball guys from our generation, I think the standard is pretty much similar. I mean, I know this, Coach Ray, all day. I know you're a nice guy, but man, I was a pitcher. And if somebody would have bat flipped on me, someone's getting it. Someone's getting it, and I can't do it. What are your thoughts on that stuff?
Yeah. So I couldn't agree with you more. Yes. It's funny you say that. Oh, Coach Ray, you're a nice guy. I do take pride in that. Dad, my family, I'd like to believe they raised me right, and that's important. And we, our organization, Double Major, we're trying to raise good young men as well too. You have to be nice, you have to be respectful. But what I always say, when you play baseball, you can't be nice. And when I say that term, some people get it like twisted, like, oh, Coach, now all of a sudden he's teaching kids to be mean. No, you can't play the game nice, because if you play the game nice, the game is it's going to crush you. The game itself's going to crush you. Your opponent's going to crush you. So in regards to bat flipping, listen, you were a pitcher, I was a hitter. I joke around all the time. I didn't like pitchers. They didn't treat me nice for 14 years. They struck me out over 1,000 times. I didn't like them, but I had to respect them, right? I had to respect them. So I didn't appreciate when a pitcher struck me out in a big situation and went overly crazy and showing me up. Now, a fist pump or, a little emotion, I love that. Listen, you struck me out in a big situation. You just that's an issue. So I absolutely agree. When I see pitchers getting upset when hitters are bat flipping the way they are now, it is disrespectful. And the issue is the kids in youth baseball are doing it because they're seeing it on TV. And the problem is, what I tell my players is, you think it's okay now at 12 or 14, Well, you do that your first year on varsity and see what happens. And if nothing happens then, come talk to me if you do that in college, because the players will start to police themselves. And
That's
to your
right.
point, the game isn't as nice as people think. The game is not as nice in between the lines as a lot of the mom and dads think when they're watching from the bleachers. It is a very fiery and competitive game. And in my opinion, that's why it's the greatest game in the world. So these kids have to get ready. And I think that these kids, they have to play with a lot more class and character. You can show emotion, and you can show emotion the right way. You don't have to be disrespectful. And I think, unfortunately, this generation, we've crossed the line where it really is all about me, about my antics, my performance, and my drip. And I'm hoping that that'll change here in the next few years.
I talking with Coach Ray all day today on the Baseball Forward podcast. This is the way I see it. Like, I'm gonna screw up as a baseball player, and like failure is built in. And the way I always saw it was, I want grace to be given to me by my opponents, by my teammates, because I know that I'm going to screw up, and I don't want here's what I'll say. If I'm bat flipping and I'm pointing, you're making your life a lot harder, because you have to live to that standard every single time. And that's a hard standard to live to. You agree?
I couldn't agree with you more, 100%. And think about the players who don't bring that attention to them. The game's already ridiculously hard. I tell my players all the time, if you're an incredibly talented hitter, like you're like the hitter that everyone in New Jersey is talking about, you're going to fail, let's just say at the middle school, high school level. If you're a stud, you're going to fail 6 out of 10 times if you're batting 400. When you get to the higher levels, you're going to fail 7 out of 10 times. So I always tell my players, and this is coming from a guy, and I will admit, now I believe I did it the right way, but I was a player who I was given a nickname specifically because I was into cool cleats, and I did wear eye black the right way. Like, I was into it. I'm a big believer that if you look good, you play good. But you can look good and still look like a baseball player. Unfortunately, today, I believe this generation, I appreciate how much love they have for the game, because I feel like kids are so much more into it. But they're into getting ready and get prepped for the game, but they're not willing to put the work in to play the game. So they take all this time to put their eye black on and to have sliding mitts that they don't use, to ask mom and dad and Santa Claus for $500 bats, but they're not willing to swing. They want 2, 3, 4 pairs of cleats, but so to me, I think that as coaches, as parents, as people that love the baseball community, we have to teach these kids that there's a time and a place for those things. They should take time to earn those things. And all of those ancillary accessories, they don't make you a better player. In fact, they could harm you as a player, because you're drawing so much attention to yourself that if you're the kid with all the drip, when that pitcher strikes you out in the 5th inning, they're going to go crazy that they struck you out because you brought that attention to you. So I think for me as a coach, I would tell all the players, wear your uniform the right way. Coaches know who looks like a baseball player. Parents know who look like a baseball player, and let your performance and your character be your stats, because that player stands out the most. The kid with the big sliding mitt in the back of his pocket and the eye black across all of his face, I'm sure he's a great kid, and I'm sure he's going through the process of being a young man and learning. But that attention, it's not good attention right now. It's just not.
Man, you said it better than I did. This episode of the Baseball Forward podcast is brought to you by the Bertrand Team. Experience, service, excellence. For any of your North Texas real estate needs, visit BertrandTeamRealEstate.com. Talking with Coach Ray all day on episode 73 of the Baseball Forward podcast. Man, I love the energy. Coach. You know what? I want to go to the parents. Okay. So let's talk about parents. The advice you would have for, if I'm a parent and I don't know anything about baseball, my son likes baseball, and I want to get him going with the right team. What are some things that I should be paying attention to as a parent, coaching wise, roster size? What's your advice to parents in helping them with navigating the baseball world?
Yeah. So first, I'll go back to something I said a little bit earlier, and I truly mean this. First and foremost, to every parent that's listening, there is no perfect organization and there's no perfect coach. And this is coming from a coach that I take a lot of pride in the organization that I've helped build. My very good friend and I, former pro baseball player Carlos Ruiz, we started our own travel organization 3.5 years ago, double major baseball. We started with one team. We now have 10. We have
Oh, let's
over and
go.
nearly 120 players, 120 families. So we're super excited. So we know the business well. We coached in the travel baseball space prior to that for many, many years. So I'd like to think that, we have a good pulse on this. And that's why I say, even us, do I think we're some of the best or more caring type of coaches in the space? I do, but we're also not perfect. So for the parents, no perfect organization, no perfect coach. But what they need to look for is, I'll go backwards. It's not, hey, Coach Ray, what tournament platforms are you playing in? Are you playing all perfect game? When I hear that kind of question, to me, it's a red flag right away. Because
Wow.
first and foremost, if you're between the ages of 8 and 14, this is once again just my opinion, it should be strictly about development. So
Yes.
a lot of teams brag, hey, my organization, we only play perfect game. Well, I worry about that because if the kids aren't ready, if they haven't been prepared, if they haven't been taught the correct fundamentals, if they haven't gotten better
Mm.
with their basics, you're basically signing up a player and a team to get thrown to the wolves. And I don't care how much you love the game. No one thinks it's fun to go to a high level tournament and lose or get mercied all 3 games in the tournament.
That's right.
So the first thing I would say to the parents is, find an organization that is player development driven. Practice first. How do their practices look? What
Mm.
kind of coaching staff do they have? How are the practices run? Are the practices run high school, varsity, college, pro style practices? Number two, take a look at the coaching staff of the organization. Do all the coaches have had to play in the major leagues? Of course not. Is it extremely helpful if the coaching staff of an organization played in college and played in high school or are currently coaching high school? Of course it does. So
Sure.
another big tip too is, number one, does the organization push playing every single day, every single weekend? Do they care for the players' well-being? Are they giving players time to rest?
Mm.
Are they also looking at the not only player development side but the personal development side? Is an organization, do they care about
Yeah.
your son or daughter's academics? Are they trying to get your son or daughter involved or active in the community? So for me, I know it sounds like, I might be anti only playing high level tournaments. I'm not. I just believe that there's a time and a place to do it. And from where I sit, I think a lot of organizations, they jump the gun on that. And I think they try to attract players and parents by bragging about what tournament platforms they're playing at such young ages, that I actually think it's detrimental rather than beneficial, to be honest with you. So long-winded, if I was a parent, I just take a hard look and say, okay, who are the coaches? What are their resumes? Are they energetic? Are they encouraging? Are they running quality style practices where my kids are getting high level player development? Do they care about my son or daughter on and off the field? And what is the game plan and vision if I were to stay with this organization for 2, 3, 5 years? Can this organization help my son go from making the adjustment from little league to 50-70 to middle school to high school? If the
Mm.
answer is yes, you probably found yourself a quality organization. And the very last thing that I'll say is, and you'll probably be very surprised about this, is I am in the travel baseball space. We're not the only game in town in Jersey. There's tons of travel baseball organizations in New Jersey. Um, I'm not going to come on here and say, everyone drive down to Monmouth County or Middlesex County and only play for double major. If you found a quality coach, if you found a quality organization
Right.
and they checked off those boxes that I just said, stay. Don't leave for greener pastures. Don't leave because the grass looks
Mm.
greener. Don't leave because another coach called and said, if you play for me, I'm going to get you this exposure. And don't do that. If you're in a good home and you love your coaches and they care about you and they're doing the right thing for you and your family, stay there, because although the grass looks greener, it's not greener over there. It's not. And I think a lot of parents make that mistake. They're with a great coach or a great organization. They built a great relationship, and the first random phone call they get that says, "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. So and so, if you
Mm.
bring your son here, all these scouts are going to watch him get all these opportunities." I hate to say it, it's just not the case.
Preaching the gospel. That's what you're doing. You're preaching the gospel. Ray Navarrete, Coach Ray all day. I want to add on to that because they say, the the issue with all the transfer portal and all, it starts at the high school, the middle school, and the high school, and all these kids jumping organization to organization to organization to organization. And here's what I'm going to say: if that's what you do, that I personally, that's not what my hope is for my sons in raising them. But if you're just thinking about an overall experience, it's not fun for a kid to go and change teams every year. You spoke about a showcase culture, right? Earlier in the show, and I think that goes hand in hand. It's like if we're constantly jumping at the next good thing, or something slightly goes wrong, and we're jumping and jumping, there may be some valid reasons why you do it, but you're harming your son's overall experience, and you're diminishing the chance for him to have real relationships with real friends and real families. And that's just kind of my take on that. I'm like, it's much more than just creating the jumping culture. What do you think?
Yeah, listen. What's really cool, man, is you and I could speak for days. We're on the same page about everything, right? And once again, it's my opinion, but I couldn't agree more. I think, listen, we're grown men, we're business owners, right? There are times in life where a pivot is necessary, a jump is necessary, a change is necessary. I'm the first one to say it, but it happens once in a while. If you need to make the jump or make a change, okay. But if you consistently, to your point, see a change in organizations year in and year out, or a transfer portal change every single season, that's not change, right? That's a lack of commitment. When I see kids all the time, they go to college, right? They're like, oh, they're so proud. I committed to this school. I committed to school, and they post it on Instagram, and everyone's excited. And he's rocking the T-shirt, and his family's rocking the sweatshirt. And then he goes off to that school, and then you hear by Christmas break, after the first semester or after their first spring season, you hear, oh, so and so transferred. And sure, like I said, there are times we all of us don't know all the details of every situation, but for the most part, it's not what you hear. Oh, the coach was a jerk, or they didn't tell me the truth, or no. Most times the reason why they're transferring is they just weren't committed enough. They weren't up for the challenge. Wow. They didn't want to push back. They didn't want to work harder. They didn't want to show their coach that they could overcome an obstacle. Now, quickly, for someone who's listening to that answer, I also do want to say my answer may also be okay. Me personally, I'm a Jersey guy through and through, and was told a million times that you were never going to play varsity baseball. You're never going to start as shortstop at varsity baseball. You're never going to play Division I baseball. And I remember I had to walk on to Seton Hall, even though I had smaller Division I program in the Northeast offering me scholarship money. I decided to walk on to Seton Hall because that was my dream school. I had to walk on, and even when I got to campus, I had one of the coaches say to me, "Hey, Ray, there's a really good chance you may never start a game at Seton Hall." Now, maybe coincidence, maybe I got lucky, but I know this. I wouldn't take that as an answer. I worked my tail off. So instead of letting that coach or some of my teammates discourage me and say, wow, I'm never going to start here, I ended up starting all 3 years, never missing a game, and playing 14 years of pro ball. I think more kids have to be willing to take a no and use it as motivation and prove that person wrong and prove themselves right. What our culture is doing now in our generation is, oh, someone said no, that means it's time to go. And to me, that's sad. That's not a good story. We always leaving to go to an easier environment. Like I see people leaving travel organizations all the time. Oh, I'm not playing shortstop, so therefore I'm going to leave this organization and go there. Well, if you want to play shortstop at bat third, put in the work and show the coaches you deserve it. I don't believe in being given things for free. I'm a big believer in earning them. And then after you earn them, you got to keep them. And unfortunately, the last few years, at least from a coaching perspective, I think that's what's harming youth sports right now is kids are running to the easy environment and they're not digging deep and working hard for what they want.
Man, that is so true. And almost to a point of there's uncoachable. What's the phrase they say? Uncoachable kids become unemployable adults. And it just it's true. The problem just keeps perpetuating on down the line. Talking with Coach Ray all day on the Baseball Forward podcast, episode 73. All right. So I get asked every once in a while, like, do you have any regrets, Ross? Like, what is your biggest regret? Man, I walked away from a pro career year two. I had some, not even worth talking about, but I walked away in year two of pro ball. And my biggest regret was not the money that I missed out on or getting to the big leagues. Like I was all gooed up in my head, so I needed a relief. But the biggest regret I had was missing out on relationships. And I'm like, man, you don't understand how important the relationships are in the game. So that's mine.
Yeah.
When you look back, like, is there something that you would want kids, players, the younger generation to learn from you? Like, hey, learn from my mistake. This is just my thoughts. What's your take on that?
Yeah. First of all, listen, I was the furthest from perfect player ever, and I'm not even talking talent. I it took me a long time to mature and grow up. I beat myself up a lot. A lot of people used to say I played with and acted like my heart was on my sleeve, which is all could be a positive, but all negative at times. I used to tell myself all the time, especially in my 30s, shortly after I retired, that man, I'm such a failure. I got all the way almost to the finish line, like 2 feet away, 3 feet away, 5 feet away. Although I wasn't a superstar prospect, I played Division I and 14 years of pro ball and A ball, double A, triple A, major league spring training games, right? I got a chance to hit against Mariano Rivera against the New York Yankees less than a week before opening day. And when it was over, I went through this period where I was like, I'm such a failure that I didn't pull it off. And actually, I really believe that. And now, as the year passed, of course, I'll never deny the fact. You asked me right now, yo, Ray, do you wish you got to the big leagues? Of course I did. I wish I got that phone call, but it didn't happen to me. And now what I'm realizing is, I played a lot longer than my talent should have allowed, number one.
Wow.
And I'm extremely proud of it. My work ethic allowed me to push the envelope as far as possible that you possibly can without getting called up. I played against some of the greatest players in the history of the game and our recent generation. Some of the best coaches and managers, Hall of Fame type of players and managers. And to your point, I've built some forever lasting relationships and memories. So the one thing I think that players, if they're listening to this, can take from me is this isn't about always trying to get to the major leagues. If you do, it's amazing. You should have that goal. But if you don't, you're not a failure. What it should be about is asking yourself this question. Are you a baseball player? If the answer is yes, I'm a baseball player, then you need to be willing to commit to the game, give it everything you have, work your tail off, empty the tank, and allow your talent to let you play for as long as your talent tank will allow. And all of our, but we all have to empty the tank. So for some kids, if they have the right coaches and they love the game, maybe that can help them enjoy high school baseball, and that's all their talent would allow. But for the rest of their lives, they'll have memories of playing varsity high school baseball. If it's to play college baseball, let your talent take you there. So for me, I used to consider myself a failure because I didn't pull it off. I used to think that was my biggest regret. I can honestly say this, although I'm the furthest from perfect former pro baseball player and furthest from perfect coach now, I don't have any regrets because how I like to tell all my players that I coach and train. The one thing I'm the proudest of is I literally emptied the tank. I played until I was 35 years old. I played until the wheels fell off. I used to run well. I couldn't run well my last year. I played as long as I could at the highest level I could in stadiums where fans were still paying money to watch me play. And I promised myself I would play as long as the opposing pitcher, manager, and pitching coach were scared I was in the batter's box. And I'm proud of that. I'll always be proud of that.
I love hearing that. I love hearing that, Ray, because what a lot of baseball players go through. I did. Listen, hey man, when I walked away from the game, man, I dealt with some serious anxiety, stress, depression, and you hear a lot. You hear a lot of guys dealing with imposter syndrome. I thought I was a fraud. I thought I was a fake. I was like, being drafted twice, playing 4 years college ball, playing pro ball, it meant nothing. I was a complete failure. And what you realize is You're not, and I'm so happy for you to bring
Yeah.
that to attention, because there's a lot of baseball players that'll listen to this that are in it right now that listen, hey, it's okay. Like it's okay to feel maybe like you failed, but you didn't. You did the best you could. I think most people do the best they can. I've got two more questions for you in talking with Ray Navarrete, Coach Ray, all day on the Baseball Forward podcast today. All right. Elevating. So baseball forward, you like how I do that fast talk and baseball forward stuff, don't you, Coach Ray?
I love it. I do love it.
So baseball forward, I'm lucky enough. Again, I'm going to say this until I'm blue in the face. My business partner is Jim Schwanke, Coach Gary Ward, Hall of Famer, legendary, Oklahoma State. Elevating the next generation is our motto at Baseball Forward. We want to elevate the next generation, ball players, coaches. So I want specifically, give me a less than 1 minute hitter on elevating the next generation to ball players out there. What do you got for us?
Wow, we elevate the next generation of ball players. I think we have to teach them. We got to teach them why the game is beautiful, why country and fans, generations, fathers, grandfathers, everybody just has fallen in love with baseball since its inception, really, right? In my opinion, no matter what other sport gains popularity or might be on TV more, it's America's pastime for a reason, and it's the greatest game in the world. I think we need to have more conversations with our children about why the game is beautiful, not just hustle over to the field and start taking batting practice and hitting fungos only. Let's teach them about why the game is beautiful. Let's teach them about the past, the great heroes and the great players and the lore of certain players and the lore of certain teams, because that storytelling and history lessons will get the kids more engaged and get them to fall in love with the game more. In regards to, how do we elevate the next generation of baseball players too, is I think we have to teach our young players the game that we were used to seeing a few years ago. And by no means do I imply that I'm against change or making adjustments or improvements, because everything needs change and improvements at times. But I do believe in the recent years that our game has lost its way from the highest of levels all the way down to Little League. I think that we've lost focus on team. I think that we've lost focus on community and character and class. And I know it sounds like that's like the perfect PC answer, but this is coming from a guy. If you ever saw me in person, I'm not the biggest dude, but I might be whoever's the most competitive. I'm tied with you. Like, I don't like to lose. I like to win. I like to compete. I like to hustle hard. But I believe you can do all of those things. And do it with class and do it with character. You do it like a mature, responsible young man or young woman, right? I think we've lost that. I joke around all the time. I don't curse much, but I joke with my older players in double major. I always say, listen, let's get ready to kick some, but we're going to do it with class because it rhymes.
Yeah. Yep.
It's okay to be hungry. It's okay to be hungry. It's okay to hustle hard. It's okay to slide into a base hard. It's okay to show emotion, but show good emotion, show genuine emotion, that you're happy or that you're proud of your teammate or that you're supportive of your team and organization, not emotion taunting an opposing player or making fun of another team because they're losing by a lot, or being disrespectful with, too high of a bat flip or staring people down or dancing on the bases. I think we've allowed that kind of behavior to happen. And I think as long as we continue to allow that, we're not going to be able to elevate the next generation of baseball players. I think in order for us to elevate the next generation, like you said, we're going to have to bring the players back down to where the game needs to be. The game needs to be run by the game. The game needs to be run by the coaches, by the managers. We have to increase the level of respect for the people that are teaching you how to play the game. And right now, I believe that we're allowing the players to kind of run the game. And just for me, I just believe that it's been a little bit detrimental, and I'd like for it to go back to how it used to be, where a coach's word mattered, standards mattered, wearing your uniform correctly mattered, being proud to be a part of a team mattered. And although no name will be as important as the name on the back, but the name on the front you should wear with pride and be proud to be in that uniform. I believe we're missing a lot of that today. I think it's too much about me. We've lost focus on we, and people like myself and you and your growing community and all the coaches out there. We shouldn't be chasing trophies at tournaments. We should be chasing an obligation to elevate the next generation, like you said.
Wow, that's beautiful, man. And you know what? I'm gonna give everybody that's listening to this podcast today homework. I hate the off season because I'm like, man, I don't have anything to watch, But I will say this: what I do love about the off season, Ken Burns baseball, because I'll fall asleep to that. 8 to 12 on. Hey, but you talk about knowing the history of the game, man. Like every year I watch it like a brand new kid, and I'm like, it gives me just a understanding.
Yeah.
When you were sitting there talking about it, I'm like, this game is so romantic. Like it'll bring you to tears if you allow it, because it's such a beautiful game. Ken Burns, everybody
100%.
watch Ken Burns baseball. Last question, and I know you had a long career. We got to talk music. Like, did you have like a signature walkout song or what?
I did I had a few. I played for 14 years. I had a few that I think probably people remember me, after I was, I played with the Pirates, Astros, and Mets organizations for quite some time. And then I finished my career with the Long Island Ducks in the Atlantic League, which is arguably the coolest experience of my career. Became home for 8 years and they sold out almost every night. It was pretty dope. And I did come out. I know he's kind of in trouble years. I came out to Kanye West Stronger for a very, very long time. And the music guy or the guy, he cut the song where it started when they announced my name. It said, "Take this, haters," and then the chorus kicked in. And for me, when I would hit my bat and the weight would come off, when I heard that line, it wasn't anything personal. It was just throughout my career, every time I walked up to the plate, I tried my best to do, like, if it was a movie, like a fast clip of all the people that said, "You couldn't, you're too small, you're too skinny, you're never going to make it, you can't hit off speed, you're not strong enough to play shortstop, you never play pro ball." And I would, because I was a visual guy, like it helped my hitting when I watched videos of myself hitting, and I would picture myself and I would picture those people tell me, like, "You're never going to," and I would say, well, as I walk on the plate, I'm like, I'm still playing. I'm still playing. I'm still playing pro ball. I'm still playing winter ball. There's still rumors that someone might sign me. So that song for me, the chorus meant a lot. And it still resonates. It still resonates a lot. And there was a time, also too, it's a funny one, but Mims, "This Is Why I'm Hot." I started to really have a couple of good years, and I told this guy to pick a song, and he picked that one because I was in a really, really big hot streak at the time, and that one was pretty cool, man. And the fans loved it too. The kids loved it. So, I come out to some good songs, and then one thing, kind of onto your question about music. If I had to pick an artist that was the soundtrack of my career, definitely Jay-Z. When I left high school, he had just dropped his first album, and a lot of people, at least in Monmouth County, New Jersey, they didn't know, like, who's this guy Jay-Z, and I was all about it from day one. He basically became this mega superstar throughout the time of my pro career, all these albums. So every offseason, every winter training program I was in, every time I locked myself in the weight room by myself, every time I went to the stadium 4 hours early before stretch and I would hit off the tee in the cage by myself for an hour, I would always play Jay-Z. So music was, and it has always been a big part of my baseball story.
Love Jay-Z. You got a favorite song? You got a favorite album? What comes to mind?
Wow, that is a great question. And unless you're like hardcore, you probably don't know it. So there's a Jay-Z song called "You Don't Know," and basically the moral of the song is you really don't know who you're dealing with, and it's a song about, you think I can't do this, you think that I'm not going to do this. Well, watch closely. If you're watching, start counting. Look what's happening. I'm starting to pile up all the wins. I'm starting to pile up all the record sales. I'm starting to pile up all the money.